is Gene Rice. I teach philosophy at Fort Hays. I'm the chair of the department. And I imagine you all are preparing for the GRE. So that's exciting. I've given this presentation a few times for the Honor Society, and I'm happy to do so. Really, I'm going to talk in general about the sort of the nature of the exam and what they're looking for, and then about the specific parts of the exam, and then we'll just spend most of the time taking some examples, which I think is really the best thing to get you moving in the right direction. But at any time, stop and ask me questions. You want something clarified, something sort of not making sense. So, what is analytic writing? Or what do you think of when you think of analysis?
Like critical thinking.
Okay, good. So it really is in some places critical thinking is simply a synonym for analytical thinking, and on the GRE there's different sorts of things going on, which we'll talk about here in a minute. But yeah, so what's critical thinking?
It's sort of to go back to that word analyze.
Yeah, all right. You want to? So when we analyze something, we're pulling it apart, right? So one way to think about analysis is to compare it with synthesis. So if you're asked to do a synthetic task, you're being asked to pull things together, right? In analysis, we're pulling them apart, and your task is to use critical thinking to build an argument or to analyze an argument. And that's basically the two parts of the analytical writing portion of the exam. One is analyzing, pulling apart somebody else's argument, right? And trying to find out whether it's any good. And the other part is putting it back together, putting your own argument together on some general topic. So, what are we aiming for? We're aiming for something better than mere opinion. What's wrong with opinions?
Some of them aren't very logical.
Yeah, everyone's got one, as they say, right? And so, an opinion, there are some forms of writing where, just talking about your opinions, talking about your experiences is okay, right? That's an acceptable goal for the writing, not in this part of the exam, right? So on the on both elements of the analytical writing test, they don't care ultimately what you think as much as they care why you think it. Does that make sense? So you've got to give reasons. You've got to give some thought to not just what your position is or what you think the value of the argument is. You've got to explain why it's good or bad. Does that make sense? So in sort of really general terms, that's what we're aiming for, and that's what they want to see if you can do in the writing portion. So let's think then a little bit about the two different types of questions. So the first is called analyze an issue. So analyze an issue. And here you're going to be given all of these issues will be really general. Why are they really general? In fact, that's probably something to write up here first. Why do the issues and the arguments that they're tackling have to be general?
So like people from all disciplines can understand?
That's excellent, right? So all of you, what disciplines are you in? Carol's in philosophy, I know. Communications, that's right. Communications.
Physical therapy. Psychology. Communication sciences and disorders.
Okay. What?
Same.
Psychology.
History. Psychology.
Okay, so yeah. So they've got to ask a question that all of you, with all of your different content areas, have a legitimate chance to write an argument about. So when I say, we'll take some examples here. But it's going to be really general, sometimes distressingly general, right? So one reason they have to do that is because you're all coming from different content areas. They can't ask about Murphy's theory of communication or Hobbes's political theory, because if you're not in those disciplines, you don't know anything about it, right? So these would be really general topics. That's the first thing. The second thing to note about the generality of the topics is that there is no right answer, or no single right answer, right? So they're going to give you an argument, and some of it will be okay, and some of it will probably be really crappy. And it's your job to analyze it and define, what's good about it and what's bad about it, right? Or they'll give you a general topic to write upon, and it'll be something really vague, like, leaders should have, presidential leaders should have military training, yes or no? Well, you as a citizen, a human being, can write something on that, even if your expertise is not on military leadership or something like that. So the general topic is, as I say, sometimes an advantage and sometimes a challenge for test takers. So the analyze an issue task, you have to develop your own argument. Okay? So you're given a really short topic area, and you have to develop an argument. We'll talk about that here in a second. And the other, which they call, what do they call the second half? The second half they call analyze an argument. So here you're given an entire argument, and you have to critique it. So in the way we were talking just a minute ago, this would be more synthesis, right? You got to bring together a bunch of things and put it into an argument. And this is more like analysis, breaking it apart and telling what's good and what's bad about it. So what's an argument? If you're throwing plates at your spouse, are you having an argument?
Like a tantrum.
Yeah, you're throwing a tantrum, but in terms of the GRE and in terms of philosophy, you're not having an argument. You're throwing plates at each other, right? The word argument in our English language does a lot of work, but